Yo, what's going on guys? It is Foxy98 here. Welcome back to a brand new video for you guys today here on the channel. Today we're going to be starting our development diary. As you can see by the title of the video, and also from what I explained, and I'll be going through it now. I'm going to be going ahead and doing a development diary from now all the way up until the end of my first ever major game project with you guys, and I'm going to be uploading on a Mondays, and we're going to be basically going through the entire development of how a game is done and is made. So as you can see here, I put up this community post about a week ago now, and I said, you know, what's going on guys? So as you may or may not know, I'm currently a university student. I'm currently studying computer games design in the University of South Wales. I've started a 9-month project with some other group members. Something which would be cool for a Monday is doing a development diary of the project, showing the progress of our game. Then we'll eventually be releasing some trailers for the game. We'll want to get a public working demo for the game, and then we want to actually fully release this game for you guys. And I simply said, do you fancy seeing the full development of this game starting next Monday? Out of the 3.7 thousand people that voted, so thank you very much for that, 93% of you said yes, you would love to see that, and it's actually very, very encouraging to see. And I was really, really excited. So as you can see here, we've got some of the comments. You know, yes, rip and peace. It's not an F1 game. And yeah, you know, it's your project. You know, if you're gonna do it, just go ahead and bring it out there. So it would be amazing. It's something you got. You know. It's not a racing game. I'm going to explain that for you now. A lot of people literally just saying, you know, what kind of game is it? What game is it? You know, what kind of game? Is it racing? What platform? Where will we get to play it? You know, what type of game is it? You going to tell us about it? What type of game? You know, you want to know what it is? I'm going to explain it for you now. And to be honest, in terms of the development diaries, you guys are absolutely critical because we are specifically marketing a game for the public. Your input, your feedback is what's going to make the game work. So whenever you see these development diaries, obviously we're going to take the game in a direction that we feel comfortable with. But at the end of the day, in terms of marketing, we need you to help us with this one. So without further ado then, we're going to go straight over to the game itself. We did a PowerPoint presentation, which we had to do for our university about last week. And we went ahead and we did a full presentation. So today I'm basically going to go through that presentation with you guys. And then I'm basically going to explain what we've done and how we're going about developing that as a group. So first of all, the game is called Gunderdome. That's what we decided to call it. If you guys have got any other better names whilst I'm going through this, if you guys have got better names for the game and you've got a name in which our group could be called, so that's me and my 2 other friends that are working on this, if you can name a group for us, that would help because we're terrible at names. So if you've got a better name for our game, if you've got a better name for the group, pop in the comment section down below. The most liked comments are the ones we're going to look at. So if you see a name in the comment section down below that you enjoy or you think is really good and would work, pop a like on that comment, and obviously that means it'll be on the top comments. I'll be able to see it, and we'll go from there. So let's get into the game summary then. So the Gunderdome is going to be an arcade shooter in which the players must destroy an endless wave of spawning enemies by using guns that can be upgraded when an enemy is killed. This is basically just a one-worded sentence of how this is going to be done. Take, for an example, Call of Duty Zombies. Obviously, you go into a game, you start off, you've got endless waves of zombies, and you just try and set the highest round. This is a very similar spec style, but obviously we're taking this in a different direction in terms of how it is done. So it's more arcadey rather than a bit more realistic and gory, and this doesn't have any real gore in the game itself. Obviously, it's a shooter, so we are obviously automatically marketing the game at least the teenagers towards the late to early 30s. From there, that's what it is. But that's like the official game summary. So we're looking at an arcade shooter, and there'll be an endless wave of enemies spawning in. The player will have guns that can be upgraded, and enemies need to be killed. So, in terms of the overview then, now this PowerPoint was very, very brief because we only had 8 minutes to present this. However, of course, I have as long as I want to present this. So, in terms of presenting it to you. So, the players are going to be spawning into the level and they will only have a melee weapon to start with. Now, obviously, you start the game, you have nothing. Along the entire level are going to be multiple different weapon pads that you'll be seeing stationary on the ground. The player will be able to go over to those weapon pads and pick up a weapon pad. They'll be able to equip 4 weapons at a time within their infantry, and that's going to be critical because the next stage is kind of why. In the game, we've decided that we're not going to be having any form of reloading, so when the player runs out of ammo, they're going to have to find a different weapon. We kind of wanted it to be a case of, we don't want you guys just using one weapon all the time. We don't want that. Like, there is going to be weapons that are good, there's going to be some that are bad, kind of some that are balanced, but we want a wide range. We want everything that we're going to put into the game, we want it to be used at an equal amount. So there's going to be a bit of a balance within there. And obviously by this there'll be no reloading. So what does that mean? So it's just going to be one clip. So for an example, an LMG in a game. You see when you play a game, you see you've got a machine gun. It's got, say, 100 bullets in it. And as soon as those 100 bullets are up, you then reload it and you've got another 100 bullets in your mag. For our game, it'll be a case of you've got 100 bullets. Once you've used those 100 bullets, you will then lose that weapon. And then, of course, you'll have to switch to your next weapon in your infantry. And then, of course, you can still go onto the weapon pads and pick up those guns again. Now, the only difference with that, which isn't actually stated on here, because again, we just shortened it down for the purpose of this, is with the weapon pads, they are completely random. You may go to a specific point on the level in which you picked up an LMG, and you will go back to that specific point a couple of minutes later, and you'll try and pick up the same weapon, but it won't be that. It might be that you actually go over to that spot and you pick up a sniper instead. Why have we decided to do this? Diversity. When you go into a level, into a game, you do not want it to be repetitive. We don't want someone just go into a weapon pad and thinking, right, I know where the LMG is, all I want is the LMG, don't care about any other gun. Boring. It's the same thing all over again. We don't want you to have a strategy for the game either. It's not a case of, right, this level, we're going to go here, here, get this weapon, and go there. Diversity is what we wanted, and that's where we're going with. In terms of the game itself, you will not have a strategy. Your strategy will be on the fly. So you will go into that game, crap, I've got a shotgun, sniper, I can't get to the other weapon pads, I've got to start attacking, I'm going to have to deal with what I've got. You go over to the next weapon pad, right, SMG, I'm going to have to work with this now, change up the play style, make every game different. With an arena shooter, as this will be set in some form of like an arena, you are obviously going to be, well, taking on enemies constantly all the time. And if you've got a specific strategy that you always play, it kind of gets to the point where I've done this loads and loads of times, it's no more fun anymore. So we want a diverse strategy, and this is where we're going with. There are going to be health packs on the ground, so players will be able to pick up the health packs and will be able to restore their health. The players will have 150 HP, and there'll be multiple different enemy types that will be able to attack the player, going from a standard base enemy to hover tanks to literally anything in known to man. So, moving on then, in terms of the art style, so we're currently deciding between a realistic or a retro art, e.g. like for retro, we're thinking like, you know, the PlayStation 1 type of style. That way. We don't know which way we're going to go yet. I think we have decided that now, but that was just the art style that we're looking for. So in terms of like the main theme itself, we're going futuristic. That doesn't mean that we're going to have stupid equipments and, you know, all these bloody see-through goggles and all this stuff. We basically wanted to focus our game a lot with the color scheme as well. We like the bright color scheme idea. So we decided the best way to implement the color scheme that we wanted is to go ahead and actually put in a futuristic setting, because it allows you to use technology, it allows you to bind colors together. That's where we wanted to put this into perspective. So for this game, we have decided to go with a futuristic theme. We're just not quite sure on the art style that we're going to put into that game as of yet. In terms of then moving on, enemy concept designs. Now, guys, just to put this into bare perspective, now if you've never developed a game before, or you know nothing about the game development, this is literally the first day of development. We're going to be working on this project for 9, 12, maybe even up to a year on this project. So when you see this and then you think of what goes on into a year's time, that's why we wanted to make this development diary. First of all, we want to market this game. We're trying to get this game to a point where we can release it to you guys, and we want to try and make something out of this. And secondly, we want you to have a look at what it's like to develop a game from start to finish. So that's what we're going to do. So first of all then, this random ball with thing on it looks like Saturn, basically, in a way. This is the base enemy concept design. So we're definitely going to stick with a ball type enemy. And again, this is what we call in the arcadey style and the slightly less gruesome style of things. Again, you're not going to see blood. You're not going to see gore. It's nothing like that. If you get hit, you're going to get a hit thing on the screen. It's probably going to be electric, because I'll be able to program that through. And it's going to be nothing more than that. Like, when you destroy an enemy ball, it's probably just going to like form a little bit of an explosion on itself. It's not going to. There's going to be literally no blood at all in the game. But because we are working on a shooter, this is why the target audience has been raised. The second concept on the right-hand side is a hover tank. I don't even know if my webcam is facing over that. Let's open up OBS and find out. No, I'm just out of the way. So yeah, this is the hover tank here. So the purpose of this hover tank, again, is literally just a base concept. Now, the reason that you go ahead and you put concepts in is because as soon as you import those into the engine, it's fine then. You can just pop those in, you can get your scalings right, you can work upon that, and then as soon as you've got something as basic as this, all you've got to do is then just start doing some testing. Make sure that you've got the AIs or this working the way that you want, and then you can build up the development cycle of putting in textures, putting in a little bit more material into the work itself. So it looks completely stupid and amateurish, but this is how every single concept works, and this is day one all the way till now. So that's pretty much where we're going with it. This is just an example of a level concept design that has been potentially drafted into the game itself. This is sort of just going to be one of the arenas. So the enemies we're looking to spawn around about this section here, potentially around about this section here as well. If we can fit anything underneath or maybe on these sides here, we would do so. The player could then obviously have a little bit of a run around, and they have some space. They'll have some close quarter areas as well, so they'll need to be careful of this little close quarter section. There's a little ramp to go onto a nice little top layer. They can obviously jump down if enemies are coming near them. Same on here, they can go up here, but of course they've got to be careful if these two ramp entrances are blocked. They can land onto this brick and sort of go around, and they've got a bit of maneuverability within inside of them. So this is again just a really basic level concept design. This is just something that we can just pop into the Unreal Engine, which I'll explain in a minute. And then obviously we can go ahead, do very fast testing, and then set and basically create a massive setting from it. So that's the point. That's the level concept design itself. In terms of the gun concept designs, again as well, very, very basic, very, very simple. The one on the top of these screens here is a sniper rifle, which is something that we're going to have in the game. Second one is a shotgun that's going to be a pump action shotgun, which is going to go into the level itself. And again, this is what you work with. You make something as basic as this. You make sure that the entire thing is fully tested and fully works. Because in terms of game development, you need to make sure that whatever you bring into a game itself works. It's all good that you make a shotgun and it's got the best texturing possible and it looks absolutely gorgeous, like you see on these AAA games like Battlefield, Call of Duty. You know, you see this amazing looking shotgun and then you go into a game and it doesn't work at all. Then you have a major problem. So making something as basic as all of these is very, very useful if you're ever looking to start computer games development. Now for this, obviously, as soon as this is imported into our engine, we can go ahead, do some hardcore testing, make sure that obviously the guns are working perfectly, we've got a good fire rate, we've matched everything up and it's balanced to a point where we're happy with that. We can then go ahead and get the full texturing on. And of course, if there are still a couple of bugs which are setting us back, we'll pop on a basic texture and give it a little bit of a realistic look, and then we'll start focusing on the gun itself. But that's kind of where the concept gun designs are coming to look from. In terms of the target audience then, now this was just stated here as 18 to 30 year olds. Now I know obviously that you guys are potentially within this age group. There are some of you that could potentially be younger than this group. Probably mostly younger, because I'm pretty sure a lot of the audiences normally when you watch people like anyone are slightly towards the younger spectrum of the things. But just remember guys, this is a set target audience. This doesn't mean that people that are going to play this game have to be 18 to 30 year olds. You could be a granddad and play this game. You could be an unborn child and play this game. I don't know how on earth you'd fit a controller inside of a mother's stomach while she is obviously having a baby that's going through development and actually doesn't have its entire body yet. But of course, it's kind of there. So you could literally be like 10 years old, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, you know, that little age in like your secondary school, you just started. Of course you can still play the game. There's nothing that's stopping you from doing that. Just because this is a shooter and it's more about the guns and that is still technically got violence in there because you're physically shooting, then obviously that's the age group that we think, well, this is where shooters tend to be in this specific age group spectrum. Doesn't mean that you have to be older, or it doesn't mean that you have to be younger. You don't have to be in our target audience. This is just where we're expanding it from. In terms of actual full research that we've done, the majority of the audiences that play shooter games are predominantly male gamers, so we are going to target it toward male gamers. Again, it doesn't mean that if you're a female, this is going to completely affect you. We just know from research that more gamers are male than they are female. Not saying that there are no female gamers, but of course we need to start targeting our audience and make sure that we get the best. And then of course if people that are playing our game are not in our target audience, it's actually a very good thing. So it's a bit of both on that one. So yeah, in terms of the competitors analysis, now these are some of the competitors that we're looking for, and Strafe was actually one of the what's it called, graphics that we were actually going to have a look at in terms of a game itself. That's news. I don't want news, I want the images. So here you can see this sort of like HUD style is kind of what we were looking into a little bit. So Strafe, again, it's a very different one, but of course this is a pre-alpha one. This is also pre-alpha. These are pretty much all pre-alpha, but you can see how it sort of looks in terms of the way it's like styled up. So it's got its HUD, you can see how it's worked out, and you can see it's got its little ammo count and everything at the bottom there. So you can see how it sort of works. So our competitors then, we're looking at Devil Daggers, Killing Floor, Crimson Land, and Strafe. If you've never heard of any of these games, feel free to have a look at them up. They're very similar to what we're doing in terms of our arena style shooter. So these are the developers that we're looking at. Now, Devil's Daggers costs £4. Killing Floor costs £15. If you include the DLC that comes with Killing Floor, it overall totals to 115 quid. Crimson Land is £10, and again, I'm using this as UK money because I live in the UK, so that's why I use it on. And Strafe obviously costs £12 in total to purchase the game itself. So, after going ahead and having a look at this, in terms of the pricing for our game, if at any point we were happy and we decided this is now fully ready to be public, we will be looking to price this at £10 to purchase for the game. Now, of course, you know there's going to be people that want free games, people that can't afford them. At the end of the day, we are not a AAA developer. We cannot physically afford to release a game for 50 quid. There's two reasons with this. Number one, there's a lot of people that do not have £50. It's expensive for a game. Secondly, if we release a game at £50, there's a very high expectation because you've released a game at that price, it means you now need to make a game that is worth that price. And with only 3 people on this project, it's not really going to be as simple as that. By settling with £10, we realised that at the end of the day, we are looking to market and make something out of this game. And secondly as well, obviously, we are looking to, you know, build ourselves up as a company, you know, and get ourselves noticed. That's the main thing. And in terms of £10, we understand that that's a reasonable amount of money in terms of when people get pocket money. £10 is not really an overall amount. It is still obviously money. Money is money, but at the end of the day, £10 is very much quite simple, and you can go ahead and change and see what £10 costs in dollars or euros or wherever you're from. And then finally, if this game did sell, and it sold well, and it surpasses £3,000 in revenue, we would have to pay Unreal or Epic Games 5% of the grossing fee for using their engine. That will be coming on in just a second. And then finally here, we've actually got the team roles itself. So, we've got a total of 3 designers that are currently on our project. We've got one of our good friend Luke, who is working on the weapons at the moment. So, all these concept designs about the weapons, these are stuff that he has made. He's put them into the engine, and he's going ahead and doing a lot of work with that. Myself, I'm actually going to be working on the character's stats, the HUD for the game, the enemy AIs. Basically, I'm going to be going in towards more of the blueprint style of things, getting all the programming set and correct on this one, and then moving on from there. And then finally, the other designer, who is Will, he is currently working on the enemy design and also the main menu HUDs. So you guys can obviously, you know, click to start game, you know, options, this, that, and the other. That's something that Will's going to be working on. Following this as well, Will has also done a lot of work on level concept design. So at the moment, both Luke and Will are working in a program called 3ds Max. It's a modeling software. If I just get it up for you now, you'll be able to see what it looks like. You can see here, 3ds Max is a 3D modeling software. It also can be used for animation, and you can create such amazing products like this. This is the software that we're using in order to actually get some models put into place. So that's what they're doing, and they'll be then exporting that out of 3ds Max, and they'll be putting it into the Unreal Engine. That's the engine that we're working on. Whereas myself, unfortunately, I'm not very good at 3ds Max, so I've specifically set myself to work harder in the engine, as that's where my stronger point is. So that's currently where we're in terms of that. In terms of the Unreal Engine, I might as well load it up for you guys now. You guys are very aware of Fortnite. You know what Fortnite is. You know Fortnite Battle Royale. It's just the most popular thing ever. That was developed, obviously, by Epic Games. Now, Epic Games actually own and run with the Unreal Engine, which is the exact same engine that we're running with for this project. So if you wanted to get a little heads up on the on what they use, it is the Unreal Engine that they use. And you can see here, I've not actually got Unreal Editor 4.2 up at the moment, but you'll be able to get a base look at what it looks like once I load it up. Now, I'll just load up a default project, and you can kind of see what it looks like and how you can go about doing it yourself. If you ever wanted to do work within the Unreal Engine, all you've got to do is just make an download Epic Games as you normally would if you're playing Fortnite, and there'll be a slot which just says Unreal Engine, and you can just play it yourself. You don't have to pay for the engine. It's a free-to-use engine, which is what's absolutely amazing. You think of Fortnite like, oh my god, this engine, this game just looks so brilliant. It was all made in the Unreal Editor, and you guys can do the exact same thing. You guys can play on this game, play with the engine as well, and potentially make something of your own. And the final thing I needed to say about the game summary as well is that this is, at the moment, a single-player game. We currently haven't got any ambitions at the moment to project this into a multiplayer format. If we just do get artists, this is the critical thing. If we've got artists that can help with the environment and also the weapon and enemy design, if at some point down the road we can get characters into the game with any form of potential animation, then we will go ahead and do that. If we can't do that, then we are going to stick it to single player, just because we don't really need to make a character. Then you can just have a gun on your screen and it can have no body at all, just a gun, and no one will notice. So yeah, that's kind of what we're thinking of at the moment. If we can get characters made and done, sure, we'll probably then introduce some split screen, some multiplayer. Also as well, we would like to make some different game modes as well, rather than just the base survival. Make something a little bit more entertaining out of it, like, you know, hard point, for example, like stay within an objective and then go from there, and then move on from that. And that's kind of where we want to be going with it. So we've got a lot of plans, and you're going to be able to see it for the whole 9 months, which is absolutely incredible. So once this engine loads up, I will be right back, and I'll show you guys inside it. Okay then, guys, so I've actually managed to get the engine loaded. It took a little bit of its time, but as you can see, this is kind of what the Unreal Engine looks like, and this is where all the magic happens. It happens within this software itself. So as you can see, we're working, this is not the actual game itself, this is something just completely different. This is a different project, just to kind of show you guys, and here you can see how it sort of works. So as you can see, you can put in loads of different little bits around if you wanted to. Like for example, you can just chuck in like a random cube and it goes in like that, and then boom, you know, you can adjust it, you can change the size, you can rotate it, you can do anything like that. You've got lighting that you can do, you've got cinematics if you wanted to do like a camera rig train. You can put in some visual effects, you know, you've got a whole bunch of things going on. And as you can see here, this is just something that's just like started on, so you can see how it's sort of, how a very basic development would look. So you'd sort of build something in, and from there you can see this is how it looks. Now again, this is not the game itself. We're not using an AK, put it that way. And the health system is completely different. But you can see, you know, if you stand in here, you get hurt by the health, and you can see the health starts depleting. You go out of that zone, and then all of a sudden your health starts to regenerate ever so slightly. This is just something that I've been working on, and you can see here that in order to do this, you're going to be, obviously, we have to create a lot of blueprints to do this, and it sounds a little bit complicated when you can see all of these specific things being put into place. But overall, it's really a lot of fun to do these, and they definitely get harder in terms of what some of these look like. But this is kind of an overall insight of what the engine does look like. And again, the most amount of blueprint stuff comes within the third-person character, because there's a lot that's put into here, you know, in terms of creating literally everything. So it gets very, very complicated after some time, but that is pretty much what the engine looks like itself. So yeah, that is pretty much all I'm going to be explaining for you guys in terms of the project itself. So that is where it's going to be going. I don't need to save any of that. So that is what it is. The final thing I'm going to show you is a video here. This is just recorded on OBS back at the at university. So as you can see here, we're currently this is in OBS, so again, we're using the Unreal Engine. These black things that are by here are the ball concept designs that you saw in, these are actually these right here. So that's what they are. So what I've done here is I've actually programmed the AI of the ball to go ahead and chase after the player. That's what we're looking for. So I'll just shut up and let you guys watch the video. And there you go then. So that is what that's what I've been starting on at the moment. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed this video. If you have, feel free to drop it a like, subscribe if you're new around here as well. Check back to this channel every single Monday where I'll be going ahead and I'll be doing more of this development diary and taking you on through the entire journey of this game. Obviously, there are going to be some weeks where there will not be a video of the development diary, mainly because there's things that we want to keep a secret, or maybe due to the fact that obviously if we're working on something, it takes a little bit of time, so it may be a case of we're just still working on the same thing, nothing really to report on that front. But if you've got any names as well for our game, if you think something's better than Gunderdome, and if you think that if you can come up with a group name for me, Luke, and Will, that'd be kind of good because we don't really have one. And yeah, if obviously guys, your feedback is critical, so anything that you think would work in the game, obviously put it in the comments section down below. Like each other's comments, I'll be able to see them from then. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video, and yeah, the 9-month project begins. Take care all, peace.